are we? That is the big question. And essentially, we are just an upright, walking, big brain, super intelligent ape. This could be us. We belong to the family called the Hominidae. We are the species called Homo sapiens sapiens. And it's important to remember that, and in terms of our place in the world today and our future on planet Earth. We are one species of about 5,500 mammalian species that exist on planet Earth today, and that's just a tiny fraction of all species that have ever lived on the planet in past times. We're one species out of approximately, well, let's say at least 16 upright walking apes that have existed over the past 6 to 8 million years. But as far as we know, we're the only upright walking ape that exists on planet Earth today, except for the bonobos, and it's important to remember that because the bonobos are so human and they share 99% of their genes with us. And we share our origins with a handful of the living great apes. It's important to remember that we evolved. Now, I know that's a dirty word for some people, but we evolved from common ancestors with the gorillas, the chimpanzee, and also the bonobos. We have a common past and we have a common future. And it is important to remember that all of these great apes have come on as long and as an interesting evolutionary journey as we ourselves have today. And it's this journey that is of such interest to humanity. And it's this journey that has been the focus of the past 3 generations of my family as we've been in East Africa looking for the fossil remains of our ancestors to try and piece together our evolutionary past. And this is how we look for them. A group of dedicated young men and women walk very slowly across vast areas of Africa looking for small fragments of bone, fossil bone, that may be on the surface. And that's an example of what we may do as we walk across the landscape in northern Kenya looking for fossils. I doubt many of you in the audience can see the fossil that's in this picture, but if you look very carefully, there is a jaw, lower jaw, of a 4.1 million year old upright walking ape as it was found at Lake Turkana on the west side. It's extremely time-consuming, labor-intensive, and it is something that it's going to involve a lot more people to begin to piece together our past. We still really haven't got a very complete picture of it. When we find a fossil, we mark it. Today we've got great technology. We have GPS. We mark it with a GPS fix, and we also take a digital photograph of the specimen, so we could essentially put it back on the surface, exactly where we found it, and we can bring all this information into big GIS packages today. When we then find something very important, like the bones of a human ancestor, we begin to excavate it extremely carefully and slowly using dental picks and fine paint brushes. And all the sediment is then put through these screens, and where we go again through it very carefully looking for small bone fragments. It's then washed. And these things are so exciting. They are so often the only or the very first time that anybody has ever seen the remains. Here's a very special moment when my mother and myself